Alright, a few words on the word Rasta. Now, before I get started, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bahashem Rakha HaChodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and that do teach well, have taught me this truth. To you I say Shalom, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, Kwam Yashala and Abad Babal. Yeah, so I just want to go into the topic of a few words on the word Rasta, and the inspiration for this video comes from the conversation that I had with brother Dawad, and we were going into the book called The Negro Question by Lee B. Cummings, and we're just talking about Haile Selassie and talking about how the tribes, predominantly the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, they're scattered among Ham. And that's what the book goes into. It shows the different tribes that go back to Israel that look like so-called Hamites, right? Or look like Hamites, but they're really Israelites. We were talking about that. And then the topic of Rasta came up. And I just, in the spirit, I said, Benjamin, by default, they're already Rastas. Because when you go into the definition of Rasta, it's an old Persian word, and it means right or to be straight. And when you look up Benjamin's name in the Hebrew, it says son of the right. So I just told Brother Dawah, look, pretty much in the spirit, our people are already Rastas by default because that's our name that was given to us. We're son of the right. But the problem is in this day and age that Benjamin is coming in the wrong spirit and doctrine while pushing Rasta, because they actually made a religion out of it called Rastafarianism, and that's totally off according to the scriptures. So it was just interesting. I had a little conversation and stuff like that. So I just wanted to talk about it. So I have the word here, the word right, in the online etymology dictionary, and it says correct, morally correct, direct, just, good, fair, in conformity with moral law, proper fitting, according to standard, rightful, legitimate, lawful, correct in belief. Now here it is highlighted, Old Persian Rasta, and it means straight and right. And when you go into the Benjamin's birth, you see that he got a name change. First it was Ben Amin, which is son of sorrow. That's the name Rachel gave him, his mother, after she died while giving birth to him. And then his father changed it to Benjamin or Benyamin, which is son of the right hand. Now this is Genesis chapter 35 verse 16. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephrath, and Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor pains, man. That wasn't a good labor. It was brutal. And it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said unto her, Fear not, thou shalt have the son also. And it came to pass as her soul was in departing, for she died. That's right, so she died giving birth to Benjamin, or Benyamin, that she called his name Ben-Amin, but his father called him Benjamin. And Rachel died and was buried in the way of Ephrath, which is in Bethlehem. So when you look up the word, this word Ben-Amin, right? Son of my sorrow, the name given to Benjamin by Rachel. So he was a son of sorrow, son of my sorrow. And then it changed. Yaakov's like, nope, I'm going to give you Benjamin or Benjamin, right? And it says Benjamin, son of the right hand. Jacob's and Rachel's youngest son. Joseph's full brother. The tribe descended from Benjamin, the son of Jacob. Yeah, that's right. So he's a patriarch. He's one of the 12 patriarchs. He's the progenitor of the tribe of Benjamin. So there you go. So he means son of the right hand. So really, yeah, you could say he is a Rasta. But like I said, what spirit are you Benjamites coming in? You're coming in the wrong spirit and doctrine, pushing that word, using that word, Rasta. And when you go into Rastafarianism, what is it composed of? Right? Because Rastafarianism is pretty much a religion that's built around the writings of Marcus Garvey, and the belief that Haile Selassie, which is the emperor or former emperor of Ethiopia, is a god. They believe that. They believe that shit, and that's bugged out. So if you studied Marcus Garvey, he's a Pan-Africanist, right? So he was into Pan-Africanism, and Haile Selassie, he was a Hamite, a Hamite, yeah, right. So they're worshiping a Hamite, and they're following the doctrine and writings of a Pan-Africanist. So that's totally bugged out. And also, that religion has a lot of other religions that are in it, because it stems from Christianity, it stems from Judaism, it stems from Hinduism, and obviously Pan-Africanism. So there's a lot of madness going on in that religion too, and they're heavy into smoking ganja, smoking weed, dreading their hair, and doing all types of fuckery, right? So, and when you go into Rastafarianism, you can see the Indian influence, man, the Hindu influence, and that came about during the mid 19th century, because the British colonial government brought Indians to Jamaica as indentured laborers to work on the sugarcane plantations after they abolished slavery. And to some people and to some scholars, they say the Indians and the blacks, they had a shared experience of oppression by the British government, and that so-called created a bond between Indians and Jamaicans and blacks over time, and that's why Indian culture permeated every aspect of life in Jamaica, especially in the religion of Rastafarianism. And you see it, right? You see it because when you go into, I believe it emerged heavily in the 30s. I believe it was a response to the social economic conditions faced by Jake or Benjamin, who were oppressed by colonialism, and they really felt like disconnected from their African roots, which it's not African roots, it's really Israelite roots. So you can see that. So that's why they went into that whole Rastafarianism, that whole Rasta doctrine. So that's where it goes back to. And they also embrace the concept of reincarnation, and there's also fundamental principles of Hinduism, which I believe in a sense it for a lack, I don't know how should I say this, in a weird way, it's like it offered the hope of transcending the limitations of like a mortal existence, right? So it's like you have to detach from material possessions, and there's a lot of marijuana usage, and I believe Indians, right, they introduced marijuana to the people of Jamaica, and it was as a means of achieving spiritual union with God, and that goes back to the sadhus, right? That's what the sadhus did. If you're familiar with them, I believe that. See if I can find it. Sadhus, India. Marijuana. Smoking sadhus, right? Let's see if I can find. Yeah, these are them. That's it. That's them smoking sadhus, right? They're like they're holy men in India, and they smoke weed to get spiritual enlightenment, and they're also known for dreading up their hair, right? So in Rastafarian culture, to them, it's a very unique hairstyle, but it's really a demonic hairstyle. And to them, dreadlocks signify the rejection of worldly pleasures and material detachments, right? And the sadhus, they believe that hair carries energy, and the longer it grew, the more they could use that spiritual energy to connect with God, which that's bugged out. You're not supposed to have long hair in the Bible. Matter of fact, let me pull that out. Let me just Google it, man, because I can't remember the precept. It is a shame for a man to have long hair. Okay, yeah. It's a shame for a man to have long hair. I think it's, yeah, 1 Corinthians. Okay, shame for a man. Let's type it. Shame for a man. Shame for a man. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So here we go. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 14. Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? Beautiful, right? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of the Most High. Yeah, so basically it's a shame for a man to have long hair. So you're not supposed to have long hair in the sight of Yahweh Shem Yoshai. So obviously this is pagan. You going into the ways of the sadhus, that's very pagan. Very, very pagan, and it's bugged out. So yeah, that's what these sadhus believe in. They believe that the hair, it carries energy, and the longer it grew, the more they could use that spiritual energy to connect with God. So that's off. So obviously, if you're an Israelite and you have long hair as a man, you're not going to connect with the Heavenly Father. Actually, the Lord, He doesn't like that. He's going to move Himself away from you. So yeah, so I believe, and a lot of these Rastas, man, they see dreadlocks as a way to connect with African roots and shit. And it's like a symbol. It's like symbolic of it's like their way of like rejecting Babylonian society and the standards of beauty. When you go into it, but it's stupid, and you guys catch a lot of hell for growing your hair that long. A lot of you catch a lot of hell. You get discriminated against, and you're not taken seriously. That religion isn't taken seriously. Believe it or not, it's not taken seriously. Like if you ask the average person out here, you know, about Rastafarianism, what are they going to tell you? They're going to tell you about weed or Bob Marley. They're not going to go into Marcus Garvey. They're not going to go into Haile Selassie. I'm talking about the average person. And they just think it's a big party. Right? It's a joke. You know, that religion's a fucking joke, man. It's a fucking joke. It is a fucking joke. So anyways, and also, one thing I don't like is you guys like to compare that Rastafari movement with Samson and how long his hair was. Which... Actually, I have that account. Let me get that. This is Judges chapter 16, verse. Hold on here. Here we go. I'm going to start at verse 12. Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, the Philistines be upon thee, Samson. Samson was a very strong, mighty man. He was a judge. He's a very, very powerful, mighty man with spiritual powers. He had superhuman strength, man. He wrestled a lion, and he killed what? I think it was 70 or 30. I think it was 30 or 70 Philistines warriors. He beat with a donkey's jawbone. He beat them to death. It was messed up, but he had spiritual powers. But anyways, it says, and there were liars in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. And this is what they use. They say, oh, it's locks. You see that? 7 locks. So it's talking about dreadlocks. Dreadlocks, man. Samson, man. No. When you go into locks, right, you got to look up the words, you dummy. When you go into the word locks, it's really going into a plait or a braid. It's not a lock. It's not a dreadlock. And it looks stupid. Why would you have 7 dreadlocks on your head, moron? That's stupid, right? So anyways, a braid, right? A plait. Now, I looked up what plait is in men. Long hair. Hold on. Yeah. Plait, right? Images for plait afro hair men. I typed that. This is what it would look like cornrows. So you had 7 cornrows. And when you go into our history, having cornrows was a sign of royalty, right? You were of royalty, but nowadays it's associated with you being a thug or a degenerate. But that's a part of our culture, you know, braiding our hair like that, putting cornrows. Right? And there's a lot of archaeology. There's a lot of icons that show a lot of Israelites in the ancient world in Israel that had braids and waves and stuff like that, but braids. So the lock is talking about cornrows, okay? Not no dreadlocks, which dreadlocks is dead hair. Dead hair compiled on dead hair. You have that fucking hair on your head for fucking years and you never trim it, which that's not lawful. And that also goes into the Nazirite vow. He took the Nazirite vow, and you guys take that out. You guys blow that up, and you take that to a whole nother level. Goes into wickedness, man. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a bit. Yeah, man. You're supposed to shave that hair off, you know, a part of that Nazirite vow. You're not supposed to keep your hair on your head like that. But hey, you Benjamites are bugged out, man. You Rastafarians, you're bugged out. So, anyways, I'm done with that. Right, I'm done with that. So, you know, that's a little bit of history. I know brothers can go in more detail about it, but you know, I don't really want to talk too much about it. I remember I was with brothers. We brought this out on the highways before. And another thing that you Rastafarians get into the Keeper Negas, which is also known as the Glory of Kings. I believe that's like an ancient text. It's like an ancient text from which Selassie's mythology stems from, and I believe it narrates the relationship between King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba and their son Menelik I, who so-called hid the Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia. That's what they say. That's what that book goes into. You guys believe in that stupid ass book. But King Solomon and Queen Sheba never had intimate relations like that. When you go into the scriptures, that's totally bugged out. Which I have the account here. This is 1 Kings chapter 12. No, 1 Kings chapter 10 verse 1. Queen of Sheba. It says, when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, she came to prove him with hard questions. Right, because she knew he was like very wise, and his wisdom brought him a lot of fame all over the world. So she was intrigued. She was like, "Oh, well, let me see if I can trap this guy up." Verse 2: And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold and precious stone. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all of Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of Yahweh, there was no more spirit in her. Yeah, everything looked beautiful. His servants looked decked out. His ministers looked decked out. Everything was fabulous. Everything was made of gold. You can go into how King Solomon lay. He had plates made out of pure gold, forks and spoons made out of pure gold. And he had many wives, but he was very wise. And the Lord gave him wisdom. What the scripture says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So it shows you that King Solomon, he also feared the Lord. Because in order for you to get wisdom, you have to fear Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Anyways, verse 6, and she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came and my eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceed the fame which I heard. So he looks better than how he sounds, man. He looks better than how he sounds. King Solomon's dangerous. He's a bad man, dude. He's a serious man. Verse 8, happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be Yahweh thy power. So she actually said, blessed be the Lord, man. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay, so if she's doing that, why are you going to incorporate her in your doctrine that you have? And you always reference her. Right? She's praising the Lord, man. You guys are bugged out. Rastas, man. Like I said at the beginning, you Rastas, man. You're like, it's in the spirit that you have that name and that you're pushing that, but you're coming in the wrong spirit and doctrine. That's the problem. You Benjamites, man. You need to get your head out of your ass, for real, for real. You need to get out of that doctrine. Cut them shit locks off. Stop smoking the weed. Stop singing kumbayas of Bob Marley and all that bullshit. Stop believing in Marcus Garvey. Stop believing in Haile Selassie. Alright? Stop believing in that garbage. So anyways, it says here, okay, and she gave, actually, wait, hold on. Yeah. Blessed be Yahweh Bashem El Shaddai, thy power, which delighteth in thee, to set thee on the throne of Yasha, because Yahweh loved Yasha forever. She's acknowledging that. You know, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yoshai loves Yasha forever and ever and ever. Right? Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these, which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Hiram Abiff, I believe he's an ancient architect, a very famous ancient architect. I think he was a Hamite, that brought gold from Ophir, brought in the Ophir great plenty of almond trees and precious stones. And the king made of the almond trees pillars for the house of Yahweh, and for the king's house harps also and psalteries for singers. There came no such almond trees, nor were seen unto this day. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked, beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. So she didn't sleep with him, man. She didn't sleep with him. There's no account of that in the scriptures. She didn't sleep with him. And you can go into the account of how Solomon had I think it was 700 wives and 300 concubines. So he had 1,000 wives, and Queen Sheba didn't come up in that. All right. So, anyways, man, he didn't sleep with Queen Sheba. That's bullshit. So the Keber Negas is stupid. That's bugged out. That is bugged out. Okay, so let's get this one, because they like to use this one for weed smoking. See, you can smoke weed. It's in the scriptures. This is Psalms chapter 18, verse 7. Then the earth shook and trembled, and the foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken, because he was wroth. This is the wrath of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And this is, I believe, David's prayer. Okay, one of David's prayers. Verse 8. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. Yeah, and this is just going into how the Lord, he's a consuming fire. And if you get in the way, you're going to get burnt. You're going to be likened onto those coals, getting burnt up, man. So that's just talking about how he can bring forth judgment and how terrible he can get. Not about him smoking weed, man. Smoking, you see that? You see God smoke weed. The smoke come out of his nostrils. You know, God smoke weed, man. It's of the earth, man. Natural. You stupid dummies. No, okay? This is talking about how dangerous and how powerful the Lord is on his wrath. Alright? You guys are bugged out. That religion is off, man. Bugged out. And I had an uncle that was involved in that bullshit, man. and guess what? He died alone, man. And he wasn't living too well, man. So that whole Rastafarian spirit didn't help him. And it ain't gonna help you Benjamites either. That ain't gonna get you out of captivity. You've been practicing that since the 30s, and where has it gotten you? You're still at the bottom. Nobody cares about your religion. Nobody likes you. You're not taken seriously in North America. Oh, I'm a Rasta. You go to the workplace and show up as a Rasta. You think they're gonna take you seriously? Let's be fucking real, man. Let's be fucking real. They ain't gonna take you seriously. When you go to get a loan, they don't take you seriously. Oh, this guy's just gonna smoke all that money away. Look at this guy. Gonna roll it up and smoke weed out of that shit. Anyways, man, with that, just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakah HaChadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule on, that do teach well. Peace and salutations onto the hopeful elect. Kwam Yashala and Ababa Bal Shalom.